Hi everyone, welcome to Chinese Takeaway. I'm Neill,
And I'm Jez.
and today we're going to be talking about what tech has really saved us during this COVID pandemic. So, during this pandemic, everyone's lives have been turned upside down and they've had to adjust to a new way of living, whether you're working from home, on complete lockdown, or able to work in a park or whatever it might be. So, we thought this week what would be great to discuss is the tech that really has made a difference during this period and what we really couldn't live without. So, maybe Jez, you could start us off and say, what tech has really been the savior for you?
Yeah, right. So only recently, I just got OneDrive, the cloud service for Windows. I feel that that was a huge, you know, help to me, especially when it comes to personal stuff. So basically, I started downloading like all my movies, all my music, all my photos onto OneDrive, and instead of basically keeping it into a server, which I used to do, now I just put everything on the OneDrive, and it's basically made my life a lot easier when it comes to sharing information. So, like, give you an example. One of my friends couldn't find a TV show that he wanted to watch. It was on my OneDrive. I just shared it to him, and he was able to download that quite quickly. As well as, for instance, I was on a junk with some friends, took a lot of photos, and basically what happened is I put it straight to OneDrive and I shared it to all my friends, and basically that made their lives so much easier.
And Jez, what's a junk?
It's just basically a boat that is just get drunk on.
Okay, all right. So very much a Hong Kong thing.
Very much a Hong Kong thing, yeah. So basically, we haven't been so much affected by what's been going on with the pandemic. So the lockdown measures were eased slightly, or quite a bit actually, in the last few months. The pricing was also very competitive as well. We had that episode talking about cloud versus server, and I've now am fully using my cloud services because when I'm doing work on my laptop, it automatically saves to the cloud. That's the one thing that I think that the web services as well as Google Drive have a little bit of a harder time trying to integrate, which is their word processing and Excel functions. So,
Yeah.
when I start writing like documents or making Excels, I don't have to worry about autosaving because it automatically saves it into the cloud. And when I come home, when I might need to do a little bit of work at home, it's automatically there, and I don't have to worry about it. And I think when it comes to productivity, I think Windows really takes the cake with their OneDrive.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I'm a big user and advocate for OneDrive. And I just like it that it's seamlessly integrated into your Windows experience where you open up my computer, File Explorer, and it's just there, the folders, and they're the same everywhere and every device. And I have a desktop, I have a laptop, I have backup laptops, and I have multiple machines. And just that it's all on each device completely updated, and also on my phone. I think we're a little bit of an older generation where before we might have tried to save files on multiple different hard drives, and now with the cloud, it's kind of given for this generation. But you kids don't know how lucky you got it.
Yeah,
We had to struggle with constant corruptions and other files,
yeah,
and it was a mess.
you youths, you whippersnappers.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
big
I
fan.
really feel that, especially with like Amazon Web Services, a lot of these companies now are really pivoting towards cloud services rather than holding up servers because, especially with what's been going on with COVID or the pandemic, people are now working from home, and right now being able to access a server from home is a bit of a hard ask for people that are not too tech savvy. While if you have cloud services, it is so easy to get integrated with you. It's not just your computers, it's your mobiles, it's also your tablets. It's so much easier to upload a file into to the cloud rather than trying to, like, for instance, in the old way of working, you'd have to access a VPN so that, or a VPN, which is a virtual portable network, virtual private network. Why did I get that wrong? So that you can access the company drives. which actually it doesn't really affects performance. When I was in my old work, when I accessed the VPN, trying to access folders was so much slower when it comes to uploading as well. It was one of those kind of light bulbs in my head when I'm like, this is so much faster. And I think a lot of companies are now looking to basically push that service to their employees.
Yeah. Well, definitely. Certainly, I mean, the main thing comes around security, and
Right.
as long as companies are comfortable with the security, it comes with it. But yeah, I'm all for speed. I had this really clunky system where it was a whole. You log onto your computer from outside, but you see the windows. You press start, and then 5 seconds later, the start menu appears, and then you hit File Explorer, and it's just so clunky and slow. You can't do any work on it or anything meaningful.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely a big fan of a fast connection.
Yeah, and not just back connection. It's also about security as well. A lot of the times with servers can be hacked, and it's. I mean, I'm not going to go through what some of my companies that I've worked for. So there has been hacking issues.
Right. And so for myself, what has really been a game changer for me is, it sounds quite simple, but my laptop. I couldn't live without it. I originally started off with a Surface, which I found very, very handy because it was small and light. But unfortunately, this was the Gen 1, and I just found that the power and the spec just wasn't enough, even for simple things that I was doing. I do a lot of Excel spreadsheets, PowerPoints, emails, web browsing, and once you get onto 10 tabs on Chrome and you have them open, this really started to struggle. So I thought of upgrading to something bigger and faster, but yet I didn't want to compromise on the portability of the Go. So I
just want to ask, what were the specs on that? What RAM are we looking at, and what sort of processor was that?
Well, this was running a Intel Pentium Gold chip, which is just a super underpowered. You're not even in the i3, i5, i7 sort of range. So that chip crippled it. Then you have 8 gigs RAM. You had 128 gigs of storage, but then you could insert. What I did really love about this guy is you could insert a little SIM card, which I'm just pulling out now. So I bought this little tiny nano SIM card, which was 512 gigs.
That's
so
great.
I saved all my OneDrive stuff onto there, so that was absolutely fine for storage capacity. But it's just the internals of the machine. And the Surface Go 2 is out, but really, if you're not running an i7 or the new desktop Ryzen chips, it was all a bit too slow for me. So I upgraded, and I was thinking, what could I upgrade to? What could be fast, but I didn't want to compromise in terms of portability. And I found this Asus Zenbook Flip S, which I really liked. Now, it's a fair bit bigger. You can see it's this is a 13.3 inch, and this is roughly 12 inches. But really what matters at the end of the day to me is the weight.
Right.
Because this was roughly 800 grams, and this is just over 1 kilo. And yes, if you take off the cover on this and you just have the barebone laptop, you're looking at something like 600 grams. But at the end of the day, you're not going to go anywhere without a laptop if you're doing serious productivity type of work. So this really suited my needs. In terms of its ability to work on, it opens right up. It flips all the way around. So I can also get my pen. And I tell you, if you've never done this before, you get a PDF, and then you can write all over it. You can complete a PDF and then send it on, sign things. It makes life so much easier because you can also live without a printer. So often you have to print out forms. I've just moved country, so constantly filling out government forms, relocating all my stuff forms, and just being able to open it, sign things, send them on, and not have to print them has been an absolute saver and a game changer. So I'm surprised not all tech has caught on to this yet, but that's been really, really helpful. And when you look at it in terms of narrowness, it's very comparable. Right. It's good. I really like it.
Right, so question, what are the must-have accessories with that laptop? I assume that you have some accessories with it.
Yes, I do. So I have a dongle that comes out, and that plugs into HDMI and other USB ports. This only comes with, in terms of I/O, there's a USB Type-C port here and here. And the great thing about that is that it can charge, but you have no standard USB Type A ports. So you need a dongle to do that. If I want to connect this to my 34-inch screen, which is currently on a ship on its way here, I need again to use that dongle. But you know, this day and age is what I try and keep everything on Bluetooth. So whenever I do connect this to my 34-inch screen, I have a keyboard, I have a mouse, and all that stuff is connected by Bluetooth. So it just reduces the number of things hanging off your laptop, and I like that ultra clean look at the end of the day.
Does it come with a pen like the Surface?
It did come with a pen, but it wasn't very good. It was I think only 1,000 points of pressure. So I used actually the Surface Pen from this, which worked seamlessly. Had a better feel. You know, the pen nibs, they all have a different feel to them when they touch glass. Some of them feel like glass on glass, which is not very nice. You want a little bit of a feedback when you're writing. So the Surface Pen, I would still put up there as the best pen to use, and I prefer it over the Apple Pencil, for example.
Right.
So all in all, I mean, the only complaint I'd have is the battery life sucks. You know, within 2 hours it will drain. And if I don't need this thing completely plugged in, yeah, it's pretty rubbish. And if I don't have this thing plugged in, if I leave it unplugged and don't shut it down, I mean, I tell it to sleep, but it doesn't. But every time I pick it up again, it's on 2% battery. So those are really big downsides. But I'm of the believer that a laptop needs to be portable, and this thing is so light, and with 13.3 inches, I really think it is portable. There were other options like the HP Spectre that I looked at, but those were much heavier, and I didn't like this kind of gem cut design out of it. I'll show a picture here. This was just very simple and easy to use and clean, so I went for it.
Nice, nice.
But yeah, absolute lifesaver. No bigger than an A4 piece of paper. Sign documents, run around with it, do my emails, get on WhatsApp, all there. So highly recommended.
That's good. So are you seeing any more 2-in-1s coming out in the market at the moment, or is that basically only two? There's only two at the moment.
Yeah, there's definitely more coming to market. I actually think the whole market has stagnated in the last couple of years. You've not seen much innovation other than battery life getting longer or putting in a new Intel processor, which really they haven't improved that much over the time as well, in terms of, you know, we've talked at length on this channel about Intel processors and how they're basically falling behind AMD. So really, for the latest versions, the real advancements are in the battery life. They have, you know, 10 hours claimed battery life in the latest HP Spectre 360. You've got more pressure points on the pad. I've still yet to see a laptop which is truly bezel-less. So I would still say that these things are lagging behind in terms of the bezelness that you'd see on a traditional laptop. And people argue like, oh, it's a laptop, you know, it's got touch on it, so you don't necessarily need it, but it's all BS. I mean, you look at phones and they're all completely bezel-less, and you're touching every single side of that. So I think once these guys go bezel-less, the battery lives are really true all day, always on. I haven't seen any OLED screens in there, but yeah, you can put in higher performance panels in there. There's nothing over 60 hertz that I've seen in there. Basically, all the premium features should come into this. And then once you get these Ryzen chips in them, I think they'll really be strong performers. And you'll, you know, if this had a Ryzen 5 3600, I probably wouldn't even consider getting a desktop. I'd be pretty happy with this in this kind of form factor and package. But because, you know, I want to edit, then I might need something a bit more powerful.
Yeah. The one thing I do want to see, though, is, I mean, they have them in, like, gamer laptops, is that the trackpad, the mouse trackpads, have started to get images underneath them, like, because they're, like, LED. Oh, yeah. And the thing is, what I really like about that is that there's so much unused space between where your hands are, where the keyboard is. It's just usually a black bar. I wish they use all that space so that you could probably put in, like, maybe an app there, like, and then you're able to use the multiple screens as well. And that, for me, I think, I wish I would like to see more laptops trying to use that real estate, because at the moment the only people that kind of tried to do that was Apple with the kind of the touch bar at the top, which I didn't think was that great, because it doesn't give that much versatility when it comes to trying to kind of make your workspace around your hands much easier for you to work. So that's the one thing I do want to see.
Yeah, there is one laptop that you have this here and then another screen
Yes.
here, and then the keyboard's pushed down and the keyboard all the way comes down to here. So it's a little bit awkward because you haven't got anywhere to rest your hand. So I think you have to end up putting them down there. But you're right. I mean, there's definitely more. I do feel there's more space that they should try and cram into these things.
Yes,
around
exactly
here.
right there.
Actually, the Asus, the other Zenbook has that trackpad here where you can put the numbers in. But just generally, I don't know why they're so stingy always on the size of these trackpads.
Oh, I know.
They should make them much larger. I don't know why they're, yeah, like I said, so stingy on it. Give us a bit more space. You know, make them made out of glass. Certainly helps.
Yeah,
but,
give it a bit more real estate when you especially with the trackpad. That's one of the a lot of reviewers always have a complaint with trackpad size.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, these things are coming along. But you know, when I use this and I hear about Apple announcing that they're going to have these new chips and they're going to go into their laptops and just how quietly they run and how powerful they've been in the phones, I can kind of see the argument for why, you know, maybe Intel and AMD should be a little bit scared of what's to come, because that's this thing still gets pretty hard on the side, and if they're able to produce something more powerful that doesn't produce as much heat, it's going to be very attractive for laptop users like me.
Oh no, I totally agree. I think when Intel had when Apple broke up with Intel, there's been a lot of rumors of like how will Intel survive this whole thing.
Yeah.
You right there?
Yeah, just dropped the phone. Yeah, absolutely. I'll be. I wouldn't be buying Intel stock at the moment.
Yeah,
but let's see what
but
happens.
I mean, yeah, we will probably we could talk about that later. But they also come up with GPUs now, and I'm like, that's a really risky move for Intel.
Yeah. Or maybe it's the kick they need to waken them up.
True.
And get them into gear.
Thanks everyone for tuning in. If you like this video, click and like the button below, and we look forward to hearing your comments.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers. Bye.